All right. What's going on, Shivani?
Okay.
All right, looks like we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Hello, world. Do a quick mic check. Can everyone hear us? Can everyone see us? How's the tech working? Hi from Colombia. What's up, Josue? Hey, Vladislav. Good evening, Samuel. Talat. Sam from Nigeria, very cool. Talat from Turkey. Oh, make me want to eat some dessert. Hey, Jorge from Mexico. What's up? Nice to see you here. All right, looks like we're off and running. How's everyone doing today? Everyone having a good day? Ready to go? Ready to relocate? Hate to hear. For those of you who might not know, there's a chat. So if you want to just jump in there and say anything you like. We also have some questions. I think there's some kind of way for you to ask questions here. So yeah, you can either raise your hand, like we have Shem already raising their hand. Awesome. You can also put in questions in the Q&A. So I see a few people, already put in their questions as answers to my questions. So nice work, but not, yeah. So anyway, let's get into it. Everyone, there's a lot of people here already. Let's jump in. People missed it, they can watch the recording. Yeah, basically what we're going to talk about is how you can relocate to Canada while working for your current employer or working for a global company. Yeah, we'll jump in. Let me just quickly share my screen, pulling out a page out of our CTO's book. Oops, wrong button. Slideshow. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Again, just a quick tech check before we jump in. Thanks for nodded, so we're good. All right. Hey, so yeah, everyone who doesn't know, my name's Ilya. I'm the CEO and co-founder of VanHack, and today I'm joined by the incredible Shivani Pinto, who is our global mobility manager. Hey, Shivani. She's gonna jump in here with helping us with all the questions about immigration in terms of visa and all the nitty-gritty paperwork details that are very important. Yeah, I'm going to jump in with a quick presentation. I'm going to keep this very simple and to the point. And one last note before we jump in is that all of these pictures are real VanHack success cases. So here's a family that VanHack actually helped relocate to Canada. We actually just hit 2,000 VanHackers hired on Friday. You can see in our background here. So yeah, we're really excited to get even more people like you with these pictures. I believe this was taken at the Toronto airport, but I am not sure which airport in Canada it was taken. But yeah, we have a lot of relocation pictures. It's actually pre-relocation, people leaving from Brazil. But anyway, let's go in. Sao Paulo. Agenda. I think it's the Sao Paulo airport. But yeah, the agenda, we're going to do a quick intros, which we already did. Then we're going to talk about the requirements for this program, how to relocate, the visa process, and then how to participate in the next steps. All right. Sounds good. Okay, cool. So quickly, what is VanHack? I already talked about this. If you're here, you know what VanHack is. We guess we need to update this from 2000 to over 2000. Sorry, from almost to over. But yeah, we really pride ourselves on helping tech talent like all of you get hired abroad, mostly to Canada, but we also help people move to many countries in Europe and eventually all over the world. So a few months ago, we had this new idea that we were thinking that, there's all these engineers, software engineers around the world working remotely for US or other companies, but they can't move to those countries because the company just doesn't have the means to sponsor the visa. A lot of companies are small. They don't have a HR department. It's really expensive. There's a bunch of reasons why companies won't be able to do this. So why can't we help them? Why can't we help them by taking someone who's already working for this company, you already have a job, you're working, let's say maybe you're living in like Nigeria, we saw, or it doesn't matter where in the world you are, and you want to come to North America and move to Canada. So that's something we started a couple months ago. It's been really, really great, to be honest. We've had, I believe, already 20 or close to 20 people get hired into Canada this way and are currently on their way. One person already started. He's in Vancouver, working for a New York company. in the fintech space as a front-end developer. But yeah, it's something that we were kind of had this idea recently, and we want to make it go. So the requirements for this program, you should be working as a software engineer or tech professional, maybe better to say. So you can be, you know, a QA designer, product manager, DevOps, other types, so tech talent, and making at least $45,000 US dollars a year. Important thing here, it cannot be multiple freelance jobs. It needs to be from one employer, and you can have, you know, freelance gigs on top of that. But as long as you have one employer that's paying you this salary, you qualify for the program. There is a preference given to the kind of AI, machine learning, deep tech professionals, but it's not required. It's just a nice to have. So don't worry if that's not what you're doing. And these days, who isn't an AI engineer, right? Anyone with access to ChatGPT can be an AI engineer. Cool. I'm just going to quickly check the chat here. I'm seeing some good questions. Thank you, Igor, for the 2000 relocation. Congratulations. I appreciate that. And then, yeah, if we see some questions, make sure we'll pause after this and ask, you know, if you have questions, put them in the question Q&A. I see 6 people already have done that. And then obviously Shivani and I are going to be here for the remainder of the time to answer everyone's questions. If anyone's feeling adventurous, you can take yourself off mute and ask a question to us directly. Why not? All right, cool. So, and this will be recorded and will be on our YouTube channel, vanhack.com, sorry, youtube.com/vanhack, or just Google YouTube VanHack and you'll find it. By the way, quick plug for the YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed and if you haven't been watching the videos, there's a ton of success case videos there and a lot of tips too, where we do interviews with Canadian employers, HR professionals, you know, experts, who have a lot of information, a lot of tips that'll help you in your journey. Obviously, it's all free. It's on YouTube, public. So go there and you know, enjoy yourself. Watch those videos. There's like 8 years of content there that we've been posting, hundreds of videos. So a lot of information for you. All right, back to the regularly scheduled program. So once you have kind of been so the first step actually is not on this list, but the first step is to go to vanhack.com/move to Canada. If someone can just type that in the chat from our team, please. Vanhack.com/move to Canada. I guess the first step of everyone being eligible for the program is being able to spell that and put that into your browser. Just kidding. Yeah, so that's the landing page where you will kind of see a lot of FAQs, all the information. You probably have already seen this page before, but that page is kind of like the main place where you start the journey and you apply there. We're going to ask you some basic questions like your salary range, if your employer name, the size of your employer, and if they have a Canadian office or not. And then once you apply there, our team will assess your application. And if you are pre-qualified, not necessarily 100%, because we also need your employer to be okay with it, then we will reach out to you, have a quick call with you, answer all your questions, and then we'll go to step number 1 of this on this page, which is introduce VanHack to your employer. So once VanHack talks to your employer, we're going to create a contract where VanHack hires you, and then VanHack will then contract you out to your employer, where your original employer. And when I say employer, like you can be working as a contractor for them, or the person who pays for your bills, right? But now VanHack will be paying for you your salary. You will be on Team VanHack. You will be working as a software engineer doing services for this company through VanHack, right? So that's how it's going to work. And because of that, we will be able to sponsor your visa and help you immigrate to Canada. You will get a Canadian job offer. You will get Canadian healthcare benefits. You will have to pay Canadian taxes, which we'll talk about a little bit. But most importantly, that's like the key issue here. The relocation timeline takes about 3 months, and will help you settle into your new city. And of course, you can work remotely. You don't have to live in a specific city, although you cannot move to Quebec, Saskatchewan, or Manitoba. Just because we don't have entities there, and you won't be able to get healthcare and just bureaucratic reasons. But for now, I believe we're helping people move to Alberta, Ontario, and British Columbia. And so, yeah, those are the places you can relocate to, and potentially get in touch with us if you have questions about other provinces. But I mean, those are all 3 great places to live. And yeah, you don't have to live in any specific place. So one thing that I'm really excited about in this program is that you don't have to commute to an office. You don't have to live in a specific city. And obviously, cost of living in Canada is not low. But if you move to a smaller town or kind of like an up and coming, I call it a hidden gem, your quality of life will be really, really high. So you don't necessarily need to move to Vancouver or Toronto or even Calgary. You can move to Nanaimo or Surrey or Kamloops or Canmore or I don't know, Kingston, Ontario. Like there's all these cities that you probably haven't heard of, but are awesome cities that you have very safe, no traffic, good schools, just a great place to live. And it's not necessarily like the downtown hustle and bustle. Who's kidding? I mean, I don't know how about you all here, but I'm not going to nightclubs anymore. So for me, it doesn't necessarily need to be in a downtown area. So I just want to do a quick plug for that and open your mind to places where you might not have considered. And our team obviously will help you settle into your new city and most probably help your spouse. At least in my case, make sure that happy wife, happy life kind of thing, and make sure your whole family feels comfortable for the relocation. All right, I'm talking a lot, so let's keep this moving. Maybe Shivani, you want to jump in here and help with the visa side because this is your specialty.
Sure, Ilya, thank you. Yeah, I'll talk to your slides because I had some slides of my own, but I'm happy to do that. So the program under which we will apply for a visa for the Canadian Engineering Office is the Global Talent Stream program. Many of you may know about it already, but it's a fast track program to get tech talent into Canada. There are two parts to the process. The one is for VanHack to get permission to hire you as an individual in a tech role for VanHack. And then there is the other part of the application, which is the work permit application with Immigration Canada. So again, VanHack will support you with all of that. I will reach out to you personally and guide you on documents that are needed for that. So typical documents. Sorry, Ilya, are you scrambling the slides? I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So your family can join you as well. It has to be your spouse and children only, so extended family will not be able to join you on this particular adventure. And your spouse will get an open work permit, so she or he can work for any employer in Canada. Whereas yourself will apply under a closed work permit. So you will have to only work for VanHack for the duration of this assignment. Once you get into Canada, and even prior to that, if you're eligible for PR, permanent residency, you can go ahead and create your profile on Express Entry and start applying. But this particular job offer that you get with VanHack gives you an additional 50 points for Express Entry. That helps to strengthen your application. Also, once you come to Canada with this work permit, after 1 year of work experience, your Canadian experience gives you more points for your Express Entry, as well as opens up another category of immigration program called the Experience Class, Canadian Experience Class. So you'll be eligible for more than one program to apply for PR. Yeah. I just haven't seen the slide before, Ilya, so I just want to make sure I understand what you said there. Okay, so to get citizenship, so after work permit, a lot of people intend staying on longer in Canada, so you will be eligible for PR, you apply for PR, and then, if you stay for 3 years in Canada, you can also be eligible to apply for citizenship in Canada as well. In terms of travel that's allowed on the visa, yes, you can visit your employer if based in the US or in close proximity to Canada, or you can travel home every now and then, but you should try and remain in Canada for as long as you can in terms of days, because those days count for PR going forward, and citizenship and other applications that you might want to pursue in the future. Ilya, you had another slide about documents, so I don't know if you wanted me to speak to that. Yeah. So in terms of this process, I talked about work permit application that we'll help you with Immigration Canada. It's important if you're considering the program to just have these documents in handy and know that they're going to be very important is a valid passport. If you're married, your marriage certificate, it has to be a legal certificate with your country's government. If you're in a common law relationship, that is, by law in Canada, you can sponsor a common law spouse, so that person can join you, but you need to be able to prove the relationship by virtue of documents that you have been together for a continuous period of more than 1 year. And then birth certificates for your children. The program or the application also needs you to undergo a medical exam, but it's not for all countries. So if you look up medical exam for work permit, Immigration Canada, you know, a pop-up will come out and you'll be able to see if your country requires a medical exam. You also would have to do a biometric test that is mandatory for all applications. So that involves, after we apply for work permit for you, going to an Immigration Canada representative office and allowing them to take your fingerprints as well as the digital photo of you to for the application to be screened for security and criminality. Also, what's absolutely important for a work permit application is proof of your work experience. So because it's a work permit application, and yes, VanHack has given you a job offer, there's still a responsibility and an onus on you to prove that you can do the job. So the way in which you do that is just by proving previous work experience with work experience letters, work reference letters, contracts of employment. And again, we'll share more information about that as we go. Yeah, police certificates also required sometimes, but not for all countries. So again, you can just review that on Immigration Canada's website if needed. But typically, yeah, if you're living in Asia, most of Africa, those certificates are required.
Awesome. Thanks, Shivani.
You're welcome.
That's very helpful, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions for you here in the presentation afterwards. All right. So quickly talking about salary, taxes, and benefits. I touched on this already, but yeah, your salary will be whatever your current salary is converted into Canadian dollars, and you will be paying Canadian taxes, which is around 20% of your income. Camila, if you can put in the website that people can use to calculate their taxes in the chat, or people can just Google Canadian tax calculator and you can see what that will be. Also, there's a blog post about the benefits that you're going to get if someone can find that and put that in the chat as well. But basically, you're going to be getting health insurance, life insurance, unemployment insurance, pension, as well as vacation, 2 weeks of vacation, and paid vacation. And yeah, that's kind of the gist. Basically, the same health care plan that I have as well. So obviously, you'd be using the public healthcare system in Canada. And then you also have additional private coverage for things like dental and eye care. I think there's a few other things, but I don't know exactly. It's all in the blog post. And if you have specific questions about that, you know, we can help you. But yeah, that's kind of the way that it works for salary. Yeah, cool. So what does this all cost, right? So there's the kind of the three main costs. Well, I guess two main costs. One is the government fee of $1,000. This is to pay for your visa. This is about to be paid for by your employer. And also there's a 15% of your monthly salary payroll fee. So every month, your employer will pay us, you know, your salary plus 15%, and that goes to cover your health benefits, as well as a small part of that goes to VanHack to help us operate the business. So yeah, those are the fees, and again, you must be making $45,000 US or more. To be honest, the higher your salary, the more eligible you are to qualify for this program. Yeah, so next steps. So it sounds like something you'd like to learn more about, or if it's a fit for you, just like I mentioned, go to vanhack.com/move to Canada and sign up. Obviously, it doesn't cost anything to apply. There's also a template there about how you can approach your employer in the FAQs, and we also wrote a blog post about that. So yeah, you can kind of talk to your employer, get their opinion, and yeah, I think you know, it should be fairly straightforward to get their approval for this. We've already had a lot of people do. If you have any questions, just make an intro between us and them, and we can answer all the questions for you and like on with them and talk to them through everything. And then yeah, here's another one of my favorite success cases of Everestus, who relocated to Canada a few years ago, now has a house in Ontario, and is living there with his wife and 2 kids, and he's from Nigeria. Cool. So yeah, that's the presentation. I'll stop sharing my screen. And now the fun part where we answer everyone's questions. Yeah, promise, good question. I am curious to know if there's any drawbacks with this. Well, I mean, I think one drawback, to be completely honest with people, is that your salary you're making, if you're making 45,000 US dollars or more in your home country, probably can go a lot further in, if you're living in, let's say Nigeria, Brazil, or India, which are the top 3 countries that VanHackers are from. Your purchasing power probably is a lot higher than it will be when you come to Canada. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. All right, Camila, I did not know you have a presentation, so please jump in and share your presentation. So we'll go into the Q&A after Camila's presentation.
Hey, Ilya. I think Camila mentioned I had a presentation.
Shivani also has a presentation.
Yeah,
sorry.
so but I spoke to all the points using your 2 slides, so it's fine. I think we've done justice to explaining the work permit application process. I think the additional things I wanted to touch on was permanent residency, but again, I think we've just made the point that it is possible once you get a work permit to get be considered for permanent residency by either getting more points through your LMIA or through being in Canada for a year working for VanHack, you'd be able to get more points. So I'm good if we just jump into the questions. I think it doesn't really matter.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for
and I'm happy to take a lot of questions on the work visa process, because I'm pretty sure people are curious about that as well.
Yeah, let's do that. I had to quickly help my wife with something here with the kids. So how about Shivani, and can you just answer questions for like 10 or 15 minutes about work visas, and everyone just ask about all your work visa questions in the next few minutes here. I'll come back and then talk more about jobs and stuff like that. But yeah, Shivani, do you see the Q&A at the bottom? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
You're in for a treat.
Enjoy
time here. And
okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, please, if you don't mind re-asking your question on the chat or in the Q&A, but I did answer a question from Louise Orlandi a little while ago. He asked, said to me, or to us, I'm in Canada, does it help? And yes, Louise, being in Canada does help because you're here, but you need to have visa status in Canada. So we'll just transfer your status from whatever it is. So if you're here on student visa, we can apply for a work visa for you. So you'll just have to share a little bit more information. I don't see an answer to you to that. And then Eduardo Silva asked, do we take care of the work permit application? The answer is yes. So we support you to get your work permit to Canada. We'll help you with preparing your documents and even submitting the application for the work permit, and for your family members as well. It's all done online. It's a digital application, so it's all digital documents, and so you needn't have to be physically present or available to get that submission done. Okay, so yes, I'm just trying to find expression. So there was a question about can I use this opportunity to boost my express entry? Yeah, the answer is yes. I think I mentioned it before as well. You get additional points with this job offer. So you'll be able to add that to your profile and get more points. So Tahir Yasin, you asked, does a software engineer, web developer job do we support helping you find a job? Yes, I think VanHack historically has been a recruitment company helping people find jobs. So you'll just have to register on vanhack.com and create a profile, and then work with our recruiters to help you find something in Canada if you don't have a foreign employer sponsoring you. Emmanuel Madrigal said, I do have an open work permit and I work remotely in the US, does this apply to the program? So I don't, Emmanuel, if you want to join the program, you would be bound to a closed work permit. So you would then get, VanHack would become your employer. So that's something you need to think about. If the current arrangement works for you and you are, depending on what your visa plans are going forward, the advantage to get a closed work permit with a company in Canada like VanHack would be just to get the Canadian experience, because if you're working for a remote company, you're not going to be getting qualifying Canadian experience if your company is based in the US. An anonymous question about, do I have to quit for my current employer or do I work concurrently? So under this program, you would work for VanHack as your main employer, and your services would be contracted out to your current employer. So Kafilat says to asks a question: while waiting for my visa approval, will my salary be paid in full? So your salary will continue to be paid as it is as a remote worker. So once you get your visa approved and you come to Canada, then your salary will continue being paid by VanHack. Somebody asked, can I apply if I have diabetes? Yes, you can. You can apply, but you need to be like managing your diabetes and obviously taking the necessary treatment that is required, but it would not prohibit you from applying. Okay, so Asif Khan is asking about the process for a startup visa. So VanHack doesn't support on that. We're supporting on work visas. I encourage you to just look online. Immigration Canada has a lot of information that they share about startup visas. Sorry, I'm just searching the chat for more questions that are relevant to me to answer. Okay, so Kafilat Abdul has asked, the slides say 3 years, but the website for this program says 2 years. So yes, VanHack has decided that we will sponsor a 2-year work permit. So the work permit will be for 2 years, not 3 years. So the slides were incorrect. So Aina Lopez is saying, I'm already in Canada with a closed work permit. It's been 3 months already, and I want to move forward with my PR. So VanHack is not an immigration company. You'll have to seek that advice through an immigration consultant or a lawyer, or do it by yourself. But we are talking specifically about work permits under this Canadian Engineering Office arrangement with VanHack. So Marcelo asked, what is Canada looking for in the medical exam? So they're generally just looking for general overall medical fitness and trying to spot if there are any major ailments. Because when you come to Canada, you're going to come on a temporary resident permit. So Immigration Canada wants to make sure that, whatever you're coming with is not an expensive disease or ailment. So they want to manage the risk on the healthcare. So they will look at your overall health, and if you do have something that's severe, then you'll have to propose like a medical treatment plan of how it is that you're going to go about getting your treatment while you're here in Canada. So, but yeah, generally it's not a very invasive exam. It's just an overall general medical like you would do like on an annual basis. Someone asks, how long will this package be on? Till Yeah, I think Ilya would have to answer that, but I think the idea is that this is something we're going to continue with for a while. So there's no like end date at this point in time. So Anoop asked a good question, and it's about layoffs. So what happens when you come to Canada, you're sponsored by VanHack, and the company that your services are contracted to no longer want that service. There's a fraying in the relationship, and you no longer can work for them, or it's for whatever reason. So what will happen then is you can either switch to supporting someone else, and VanHack still remains a sponsor. So then that doesn't change the relationship between you and VanHack. Or you could find a new Canadian sponsor, so not being VanHack, but somebody else. You can remain in Canada for the time you're trying to find the new employer, but you should be doing that, pretty quickly. You shouldn't be staying in Canada for too long without having a sponsor. And once you secure a new sponsor, go through a new closed work permit application, you're able to switch and can continue working for the new employer. So I see a lot of questions about the program requirements, and we'll wait to get Ilya to answer that. Asif, you said, can you reply to my questions? Sorry, I've got a ton of questions. Yes, if you want to maybe just drop it in the chat again. I'm sorry I missed that. And I'm not really sure how to search for your question here. So Anil Bagisia asks, what about if we already already have a visit visa and biometrics done? So if you already have biometrics done, it won't be repeated. Biometrics are only done once every 10 years. So as long as it's done in the last 10 years, it should be fine. The visit visa is a visit visa. So you have to switch it off over to a work visa. So it doesn't help for the application, but most of the documents you presented in that application would also be duplicated for this one. Igor Zorin asks, is a work permit multiple entry? Yes, it is. So let me just also qualify work permit and work visa. So once you get approval for this work permit, there are two things that take place. The one is Immigration Canada will issue you with a visa. And that is typically stamped in your passport as a visa to enter Canada on a multiple entry basis. That visa is usually about 2 years if we're applying for a work permit, just over 2 years, or sometimes they grant you a little bit longer. And that allows you to travel in and out of Canada. Once you arrive in Canada for the very first time, using that visa to start your life in Canada on this work permit, you will be issued a work permit. So it's actually a document. It's a 1 or 2 page document that is your work permit document, and that allows you to work in Canada. So the visa in your passport allows you to enter in and out. It's given to you as soon as approval is given, but the work permit is issued at the port of entry. So at the border when you enter Canada, it is issued by CBSA, so Border Services Agency. They will print out that document. It'll state everything that is essential for that, which is like VanHack is your employer, your salary, the period of the work permit, and it starts on the day you arrive in Canada. So if you get approval and you're only arriving in a couple of weeks or 1 or 2 months, then that date of work permit starts the day you arrive. Okay, so Renee Pina asks, what if I want to move, but planning to do so in a year or so? I would recommend you defer joining the program, because the expectation here is that you would arrive in Canada as soon as possible. Connor O. Callahan asked, is relocation restricted to BC? So yes, the latest on that, and I think there's been a lot of webinars and information shared, but right now we are going to be able to sponsor you in British Columbia, Ontario, and Alberta. So those are the 3 provinces that are open for the work permit sponsorship. So, and someone asks, I'm already in Canada on a study visa, student visa. How long will it take to get the new visa? So this particular program, the Global Talent Stream program that I talked about is a fast track program to get people on work permits to join companies in Canada. So the visa application process would take typically, they've accelerated the processing times right now, so it's about 3 weeks. But again, with Immigration Canada, I cannot vouch for the timeline. I see already, delays in some of the countries to get visas out. So we can't vouch for it. It could take a couple of weeks. It could take a couple of months as well. Having a visit visa, does this help to improve my application? No, not necessarily. Because you have to apply based on this work job offer that you have. So the application focus is a little bit different. But if you've already done biometrics, then you don't have to do that again. If it was done in the last 10 years, if you have medical that was done in the last year or is still active, you can use the same medical. So thanks for being patient with me. I'm just trying to get through questions that are relevant. So Onkar Singh asks, do I have to stay in Canada all the time or can I travel to other countries? So the condition of your work permit is that, you should be working in Canada. So you can travel, but you should, travel according to like the leave that you have. So travel as if you're working for a company in Canada. So you cannot be like too out of Canada for too long a period of time.
Everyone, I'm back.
Hey, Ilya. So Ilya, there's a ton of questions about the program that I've just skimmed through. So I'm just trying to find immigration related ones. So it would be great if you just jump in.
All right. I'm not sure all the questions that there's 99 questions here. All the ones been answered. I guess there's 10 that have been answered. So, yeah.
Oh, so the 10 answered was, I think, us answering like by text, but I've just verbally been answering. So just working my way down the list. So.
Okay. Yeah, if questions been answered, I don't want to answer it again. But yeah, okay. Let's just start at the top and go down. So I guess Diego, we already answered your questions. If I run a tech startup, how does that help me? Well, if there's a startup visa program that you can apply for specifically for that, but potentially depends on that. You can just get in touch with us for that one. How much do you charge for relocation services? We don't charge anything for the relocation services. No, business analysts cannot be part of the program. Yeah, cybersecurity, we have looked into those. Yes, Onkar, if you're living in Poland and working remotely for an Indian company, if you are eligible as long as your salary is above the limit. Do you also help getting jobs in Canada? Yeah, vanhack.com/jobs. You can just apply there. All of our jobs are there. I also school while working. Yeah, I guess you can if you want. My employer has their office in Toronto, but not be eligible. Yeah, so if you don't have 45K salary, then you're not eligible. If my salary is US 45, how much do I have to spend after all discounts? Eric, I don't know what you mean. how much you have to spend on what. There's tax on it, and then whatever you need to spend to live. I'm not sure, everyone's spending is different. As a US based startup owner with 500K in funding, can I move myself to Canada on Nox Zero and get 200 points for EE? Potentially, Abrar. Yeah, get in touch with us and we can help you specifically with that case. Yeah, potentially, yes. Is it mandatory to have a family group to work in Canada? No. You can be single or come with a family. I have an open work permit and work remotely for a US company. This program applies to me. Yeah, Emmanuel, definitely. This program applies to you very much so. So yes, please apply and we can help you, especially if you have an open work permit, you can start working, right away on Monday, for example. So yes, and then that'll help you apply for your PR. We've actually helped a few people with this process already. Can decide for quit for my current employer. So you will be working for your current employer. That's the point. Like, you're not going to quit your job. You're just going to keep working for your current employer, except working from where you are now. You're going to be working from Canada. So it's not like you're going to quit your job. You're going to keep doing your job. Diego asks, I've met all the prerequisites for the program, but I have the ability to finish the process in July 2024. Yes, it will be available in July 2024. The recording will be on our YouTube channel. Yeah. Yes, David, you work remotely as a contractor for a US company. That's exactly the person who qualifies. So David Kalu, that's exactly, you have the exact type of person, someone who's working remotely as a contractor for a US company. As long as your salary is over 45K and you're working as a software engineer, you qualify. So yes, David, you do qualify, and please sign up on vanhack.com/Canada. In this program, then what I should change from full-time, well, I don't know what you mean, Bruno, from full-time employee to contractor. Why? Yeah, I don't understand. You are going to be going from contractor to full-time employee, unless you're a full-time employee now, and then you want to become a contractor. But if you're a full-time employee, like, I guess the country, you're working in the same country as your company is in. I think so, Bruno. Apply and you'll see. Is the program available in New Brunswick? New Brunswick shouldn't be a problem. Yes. Asif Khan, I'm a co-founder of a startup which is running in Australia now and wants to open in Canada. What's the process to open in Canada? Just go through the startup visa program. That's not really something that we can help with. Yes, we do accept the developers from Africa. That's a ton of developers from anywhere. We don't have, we see no borders at VanHack. One of our values is we have no borders. If my company moves forward with the program, how long could you stay prepared to move to Canada? So Vinicius, how long could stay prepared, plan to move to Canada? There's a few things here. How long can you stay in Canada? And we'll indefinitely prepare, plan. I mean, it's really up to you, right? So Vinicius, if you want to move to Canada in 2 months, we can do that. If you want to move to Canada in 6 months, we can, whenever you're ready to go, just tell us and we'll apply for your visa, right? If you want to move to Canada at a specific time in the future, just let us know when that is, and we won't apply for your visa until you're ready to go. So, and also once your visa is approved, you have 6 months, and Shivani can correct me if I'm wrong, but you do have 6 months to come to Canada. So you can kind of get that pre-approval and then wait for the 6 months. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, cool. In the case of a TC package, based on salary plus a bonus, you can get paid a bonus. So it should be fine. Like, you can get your salary and then get paid bonuses on that. So it should be okay. So as long as your base salary is over 45K, it's okay. Constanza, there are extra costs for your current employer, 15% of your salary extra to cover your health benefits, and a portion of that as well goes to VanHack to pay our bills. Is there a limit to at least 45,000 exclusive? It is 45,000 limit. Actually, that's like the really low end. The higher the better. So yes. If you're close to that, I suggest asking for a raise or working a little bit more and then getting a raise, or maybe getting another job with a higher salary. Any support for self-employed professionals outside of US? I mean, it depends on how stable your income is. If your income is like it's hard to say without knowing more information. Potentially, yes. Most likely, it might be tough. Vladislav from Ukraine, and I'm a web blockchain engineer. Awesome. Yeah, you do have a chance for sure. As long as you're working remotely for a non-Canadian company, most likely US or other country company, making over 45,000 and working with the staff that you have, you definitely have a chance for sure, Leslov. So yeah, we would be happy to help you. But also, yes, VanHack will also help you with your PMP. We won't help you in terms of like doing the process and actually like applying for you. The job offer, Clint, to answer your question, will help you get the points necessary for the PMP program. Ainer, you're on a closed work permit in Canada for 3 months. How could you help me? Well, I would reach out directly to Shivani in this case, and she can help you with her private practice. So Ainer Lopez, just email Shivani at vanhack.com and she will reach out to you and help you apply for your PR. I'm guessing that's okay, Shivani.
Sure, thanks, Ilya. Yeah, that would be okay.
Cool. All right. So yeah, Ainer, just email Shivani and maybe Shivani, if you want to send him a DM or if you're open to sharing your LinkedIn, I'm sure people can also Google your name and find you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Miguel, yes, there is a cost to the employer. Like I said, it's 15% of your salary. You don't need any special permissions in Canada for the employer. No, just they just need to pay a little bit extra on your salary to help cover the cost of being an employee in Canada. Deal US CAD exchange rate fluctuations. Well, that's a risk that VanHack will take. So what we will do is we will take your salary in USD and we will just pay that to you in CAD, and then we can adjust your salary by, I believe, a few percentage, maybe 6% per year or 9% per year, I believe, something like that. So the fluctuation hasn't been super huge. If you look in the last few months or years, it's been stable around 130, 1.35 more or less. So yeah, don't worry too much about that. But yeah, it's a risk that VanHack will take and increase your salary if needed. But yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. Leandro, I'm in Toronto with an ETA visa, finished my English. Okay. I mean, Leandro, I think the best way for us to help you is I'm not confident interviews. Yeah, we should have VanHack Academy. Unfortunately, it's not around. We should bring that back. Yeah, Leandro, maybe sign up to VanHack, watch the videos in our learning hub, prepare yourself for the interviews that way, and then apply for a job in our platform. And yeah. I own a tech startup, hence I need both employer and employee. We'll be doing remotely from Canada. Yeah, I mean, anonymous attendee, it all depends on how stable your tech startup is, right? Like if you are having an actual revenue, able to pay your bills, and you maybe have some funding, or you can like prove that you're able to, because the risk that VanHack takes, and also frankly you take, is that if you come to Canada and all of a sudden you can't pay your salary, like because you're the owner of the company, then we will have to fire you and you won't have a job, right? So that's not a good place to be in. So just make sure that you have a stable job. What happens when layoffs happen? Anu, good question. Yeah. So when you come to Canada, you'll come on a closed work permit connected to VanHack, right? So that means that you can only work for VanHack and you will have a closed work permit. If you are let go, thankfully, you can stay in Canada for the remainder of your work permit. So let's say you're let go 6 months into the process, you can stay for another 18 months, 1.5 years, 6 months minus 2 years. Your spouse can also work, so they can help and paying the bills. No problem, Leandro. And yeah, so that is definitely a risk. But at the same time, VanHack can also help you get another job, be it contracting for another Canadian company or for another US company. So if you get let go, what VanHack can do is we can go to other Canadian companies and say, hey, why don't you hire Anoop or whatever person through VanHack, so that way you can work for another company, actually being contracted through VanHack, right? So you'll be able to work for a Canadian company, just you won't be able to have your so that's an option, or you can get contracted for another US company. So there's things that we will do obviously to help mitigate that. The nice thing is though, if you come to Canada and you have your PR, then you'll have an open work permit, right? So if you get let go while you're in your PR, no problem, just go find another job as a software engineer. That's definitely possible these days. So and then obviously worst case scenario, go back to your home country and find a job there, but I don't think that happens very, very rarely. Actually, I don't know if it's ever happened. Maybe once. Actually, what happened the last case, someone got let go, they got a job with a US company, and then they went back to Honduras, but they were making $100K US living in Honduras, working for a US company. So yeah, That's the last case of someone getting let go and not being able to find a job in Canada. Cool. Andres, your employer is based in the US but got acquired by a company in Montreal. That might be a problem. So we would need to have the company not be a Canadian company. Or if they are a Canadian company, they need to not have software engineers in Canada. So Andres, unfortunately, I think this would disqualify you, but apply for the program and we'll get more information and see if it's possible. Bruno, can I apply if my company is headquartered in the US? Yes, you can. And if it's another branch, as long as there's no Canadian entity, you should be fine. Yeah, we do accept other IT roles. My current employer refuses to pay VanHack. Can I pay VanHack myself? Unfortunately not. We need to have the employer pay us directly. What if you're a co-founder for an initial company? I think I already answered that. For the permanent residents in the future, if I decide, for example, to go to another province other than BC, would it be presented in the province where I am or where I am in BC? So Shivani, you want to answer that? Like, how does the PR work for the province that you live in?
Yes, so to answer that question, if you were sponsored by British Columbia, the British Columbia expects you to stay in the province for a little while because you have to indicate your intent to reside there. So you shouldn't relocate out of the province soon. You should, stay committed to the commitment you make. But if you're not applying under provincial nomination, then you can stay anywhere in the country. And I think also, it's different to a work permit application. So when you're on permanent residency, you can stay anywhere. When you're under a temporary resident application as a work permit, you're limited to the provinces you can stay because of where your employer is located. So just remember that.
Cool. I'm just gonna text someone because I'm gonna be a little late for the call.
Okay.
We're not gonna have time to finish.
Yeah, I'll just jump into a few more. Is the work permit multiple entry? I think we answered that before. Yes, it is. Again, is the location restricted to BC? No, it's not. We currently promoting British Columbia, Ontario, and Alberta. Somebody asked for express entry, does the tax and pension deduction start before? I'm not sure I understand what you're asking, but for express entry, you just have to prove proof of funds. So you should be able to bring in a certain amount of money when you come, as well as when you prove your work experience through payslips and things. You just have to prove authentically that you worked somewhere and on the salary that you earned. Somebody asked, can I apply for another job when I get to Canada? It's Kafilat. Ask that question. Will I need to apply for another work permit immediately or after the 2 years? So ideally, you shouldn't apply for a job straight as you get into Canada because VanHack is, entrusting that you will continue with your current employer and VanHack is sponsoring you. So you do have a job with VanHack for 2 years, assuming that all things go well with your current employer. So the only time you should be switching employers from VanHack to another Canadian employer is, when things don't go the way you plan. Someone's asking, is VanHack only fluent for English speakers? So in terms of getting an immigration application approved with Immigration Canada, there's an expectation that you can speak English or French or both, because the language that we speak at work is English or French, so that's the expectation. Though for work permits, it is not required that you prove through an English test. However, an officer can ask for that. So if your English is not really great, it's good to get your English up to a good speed. If you're asked to present a test result for a work permit application, you'll have to present that. So the expectation is your English or French is pretty good or good enough to work in. How is the process of traveling with a dog? So pets are allowed. They don't need any particular immigration clearance, but you will have to make all the arrangements with an airline. So once you get your work permit approval and your visa to travel to Canada, you can contact your international airline with which you'll be coming to Canada to arrange for how the pet can travel with you. Another anonymous attendee has asked, if I'm applying to get the 50 points, what help will I get from VanHack? So VanHack doesn't support you with PR applications. We just support on the work permit application. So you'll just be able to use that job offer and LMIA to get more points on your Express Entry profile. But for PR applications, you can do it by yourself or use an immigration consultant or an immigration lawyer to help you with that. So Ilya, we have got 3 minutes to go. Is anything you want to talk about? We still want to go through questions.
Yeah, I can keep going, Sharon. If you got a other call, like I just canceled my next call because there's a lot of questions here. So let me just keep going with everyone if you want to go back to your like regular stuff that you're doing. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've seen repeated questions about visit visa and if there's any benefit by having one when applying for work permit. So I'm just going to take those as answered on the chat, but just in summary, there's no real benefit. It's just that you would have done the application before. So similar documents, you would have done your biometrics. So that will help because this application is for a work permit. So it's viewed a little bit differently by Immigration Canada. You just have to have their job offer and you have to obviously have the required experience to do the job that you've been hired for.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Shivani. I'll take it from here.
All right. Well, it's been nice being on this webinar with you, Ilya. Thanks for the opportunity. If anyone has any other immigration-related questions, feel free to email me on shivani@vanhack.com or you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks, Shivani.
Bye-bye. Bye. Thanks, Ilya. Bye, Camilla.
Yeah, her email is just her name at vanhack.com. So Shivani@vanhack.com. All right, let's keep rolling here for maybe another 15 minutes or at least as long as people have questions. We've got 55 more, so let's get through them all. Yeah, so Amir, does it increase any complexity for the employer if the finance is handled through VanHack? No, it doesn't, because it's basically the employer just pays us once a month, which is probably similar how to they're paying you. So there's no real extra complexity. We have a US bank account, so it's pretty straightforward. Samuel, does it matter if I can just start working less than 3 months ago? No, that should not matter as long as it's a stable job. Andres, I've heard that taxes depend on salary. Yeah, so you can just go to well, I think Camila shared a tax calculator, but if you're making 90K CAD, you're probably paying around 20%. What will the salary be after? So 18K minus, so 72K after taxes, probably something like that, roughly. You can check directly on just Google Canada tax calculator. There's a bunch of pages that help you calculate that. To hear if you're working for US client through Upwork on their payroll, are you eligible? Yeah, so basically the US company will stop paying Upwork and they'll pay VanHack. So yes, you are eligible. They just need to stop paying you through Upwork and just pay you through VanHack. If an employer is an intermediate company similar to VanHack, should I talk to them? Probably through the intermediate company, because I'm guessing that there is some clause where the real client can't change to another intermediary. So I would talk to your intermediary company. It's up to you though. I'm not sure exactly what your relationship is with either company, but potentially it might be better to talk to the real client. But the third party company might interfere. We've seen a case where the third party company actually blocked the person from changing jobs, which I thought was pretty terrible. But yeah. So I already talked to the company that I'm working for, and as far as I'm not going to really sign a contract with VanHack, but they're willing to pay my salary to VanHack with no problem. Weird. So they're willing to pay us, but they're not willing to sign a contract. That's kind of strange. I mean, why would you pay someone and then not have an expectation of things to be work? I don't know. That kind of sounds strange. Usually when you pay someone, there's like a contract, because then that person is responsible for delivering a service. So I don't know. I don't know why they're not willing to sign a contract with us. It's not like it's any risk for them. If they want to see what the contract looks like, at least to understand, it's pretty straightforward stuff. So sorry, I don't know who asked this because it's anonymous, but I would say that, yeah, we would need your employer to sign a contract with us. We're not just going to like hope that they send us the money. You know what I mean? Like we're not going to hire you, start paying your salary without any guarantee that that your salary, will get paid for by the the client. As a contractor, would I still have a link with my client after VanHack takes my client? Yeah. You will still have a link with them. VanHack will be involved in things such as salary negotiations, performance reviews, and termination if needed. Obviously, there's still going to be a relationship with your current employer, so you can talk with them. It's just VanHack needs to be involved in that as well, but not like we're not going to like interfere. I'm very hesitant about this. I think it can help me be more confident. Can you please give me different steps in general before I apply and if I were to accept it? Well, I mean, that's what the whole webinar was about. So you can watch the webinar. I don't know if you have any specific questions, and again, anonymous, I'm not sure, but if you have any specific questions, then I can answer them, but don't worry, it's okay. If I'm a IT professional QA tester, be in Canada secure or remote Java security tester. No, you don't have to be in Canada secure remote Java security tester. You can just apply from wherever you are. My employer refuses to pay 15% insurance admin fee, can be deducted from my salary. Yes, it can be. Just make sure that your salary is still above the 45K after the 15K is, if 15% is deducted, and be aware that you're still going to have to pay 20% tax on that. So essentially, you're going to take a 35% salary cut. So that's pretty, it's a large. I mean, you probably still have to pay tax in your home country too, but it's a lot of money. So I would, think twice about that and obviously talk to your employer. Our preference, strong preference, is that the employer pays for this, because they obviously have more funds than the candidate does. So yeah, if my employer moves forward with the VanHack program, the visa is provided, do I need to relocate immediately? No, you can relocate within 6 months. Connor, I believe I asked to answer the question about the 15% being paid by you already. Why I received a message of invitation to this job meeting. I don't get it. Okay, the company I work for is an intermediate company. I think we already answered that question. Is there a deadline to apply the process? You can apply for the program anytime, in 6 months to a year. Yeah, sure, whenever you're ready. What is the form of help the VanHack provides in settling down, especially regarding accommodations? So regarding accommodations, we will refer you to a housing agency. There is a fee to work with them. I believe it's $900, but they will go visit 3 houses for you, and send you pictures, give you references, and kind of give you 3 options, or they'll give you a bunch of options. You choose 3. They'll go visit those 3 houses, and then help you pay the security deposit and confirm the place, so you can move to Canada with an accommodation already secured. Must you have an active employer to be eligible for this program? I don't know what you mean. I don't know what an inactive employer would be. So yeah, I don't understand that question. Do you have any guide to the cities with lower cost of living? Yes, we do, and we can help you with that. Is the correct calculation of my current salary should pay the minimum 52 minus? Believe so, yes. Igor, I can't do that math right. That looks right. Yeah, that looks right. I'm a PG from Brazil. Every month I send invoice to the type program. Yeah, exactly. So for those from Brazil, you are basically going to be staying PJ in Canada, working for VanHack, like CLT, and then we're gonna contract you out to your current employer. If I'm applying for the 50 points for PR, will VanHack be handling the process? We are not going to be handling your PR process, no, but we can help you and introduce you to a consultant. Frankly, you can probably just do it on your own. Bruno, I think we've answered this question already, but Bruno Almeida, willing to quit my current company to be hired by VanHack and work as a contractor for your company? Technically, yes. I mean, nothing really changes in terms of your actual day-to-day work, right? Like, you're going to be working for the same company, basically doing the same work. It just, instead of working for them as a contractor or maybe as an employee, you're going to be working for VanHack as an employee, and then you're going to be doing services to your employer. So you're going to be building technology for VanHack, and then VanHack is going to be selling that technology to your current employer. A bit of a repeat question. My current, we're working full time in Ireland for an Irish company. Is the idea that they would pay me as a contractor under this program? Well, they're not going to be paying you. VanHack's going to be paying you. They're going to be paying VanHack, and you're going to be an employee of VanHack, and then you're going to be doing services for them. So they're not going to be paying you. They're going to be paying for a company that will will provide your services to them. So I guess technically it's kind of as if they're paying for you as a contractor, but they're not going to pay you directly. They're going to pay VanHack. Hope that makes sense. How many days does it take to VanHack to contact my current employer? We'll contact them right away. Just make the email intro to either myself or someone else from the VanHack team, and we usually reply to emails very quickly within a few hours. My email is Ilya, ILYA, my first name, @vanhack.com if you want to make the intro. Once we enter Canada, can we switch to any of these provinces? I believe Shravani already answered that. Abby Mayel. I hope I got your name right. If you're in the US right now, can you apply from the US and you go back to your home country? I'm not sure. I believe you have to go back to your home country for the medical exams, or maybe you can do them in the US. I don't know. That would be more of a question for Shravani. I'm not sure if she answered it for you, but if you want to apply to the program, if you're eligible, we'll definitely help you with all that stuff. Yeah, so you can work for freelance jobs outside of your current job. So you'll be working for VanHack for 140 hours. And as long as you're working for a freelance job that is non-Canadian, so if you're working for another company freelancing that's a US company or any non-Canadian company, you can apply, you can work those freelance jobs outside of your job with VanHack, but it just has to be a non-Canadian company. After arrival in Canada, is it possible to have another okay, I already answered that. Once we enter Canada, can we switch to any of these provinces, or will we, these provinces, or will we have to live in the one mentioned? Again, I believe that this was already answered, that you have to live in the one that's mentioned in the work permit. For companies that stock options, we can't help you with stock options for now. If I work in intermediate companies, contractor, yeah, no, you can't. I think David, I think we already answered these questions. Is there any possible to get NOC 0 job to get 50 points or EE? How easy can you sponsor BCPNP? The BCPNP depends on how many points you have, I believe, in your process, but can be right away. Again, it's hard to know without knowing your information, Abrar. And then possible to get, I think you get the NOC 0 job. I believe it's a NOC, I don't know if it's a NOC 0 job. I think it's only 50 points. If my employer increases my salary during the contract, how is this handled? You can increase your salary up to 9% per year. So you won't be able to increase the salary more than that while you're doing the process. Due to job volatility, we need to save ahead of moving for a settlement for parents and needs to do major employer and have everything works in a work permit and have to leave immediately. You don't have to leave immediately. You can stay for 6 months after. So you can like, let's say you get the work permit. It takes 2 months to get the work permit, and then there's another 6 months. So there's 8 months that you can theoretically relocate to Canada after we start the process. If my employer increases my salary, can we ask that? What happens to the 1 month deposit? We remove the 1 month deposit. There is no more 1 month deposit. Yeah, can VanHack reach out to me before contacting my employer? Yeah, definitely. Of course. Yeah, David. So you will be the one making the introduction. We don't know who your employer is. We won't be able to contact them, and we definitely won't contact them before you just give us consent. And we obviously want the introduction because, yeah, that's the most natural way of a meeting happening. So, all right, 2 more questions. Jamshad asked, I joined late. I got your model tech part, taking salaries on behalf, but what do you help with? We'll help you get your Canadian visa. What is the minimum criteria for applying? 45K USD salary and working in tech. Okay. All right, we got a couple more questions. All right, David. Yeah, guys, keep answering. I'll be here answering questions. David, my salary gets paid through my intermediary. How will the transfer work in this case? Well, I guess your intermediary will have to pay, or if you can get out of the intermediary and have that intermediary be changed to VanHack, we can do that. It all depends on the contract that your employer has with the intermediary. I would recommend just signing up on vanhack.com/move to Canada, and our team will reach out and help you with your specific case. Who do I introduce VanHack to? My US employer, my intermediate company? I believe, again, it would be your intermediary company because they're the ones ultimately doing that. But if you have a good relationship with your US company, maybe we can talk to them directly and then they can help you get out of that contract. So if you get the minimum PSC points required for the job, VanHack can sponsor BNP. Yeah, we can. Yeah. No age restriction. No. I think it's like over 18, and I don't know if there's any maximum age. Yeah, cool. Are there any other questions in the chat maybe? Jorge asked, it'd be nice to have a blog article on all these questions that have it. It seems like we have some same doubts. Well, we have an FAQ, I guess. Yeah, maybe what we can do is we can get the transcription of this webinar and then turn that into a blog post. So yeah, that's actually a good idea. So yeah, we'll do that. But if you go to vanhack.com/Canada, there's an FAQ. A lot of those questions were actually in the FAQ. Medical insurance start from day one. Yes. All right. Okay. Another question here. Hey, Michael. Work for a standard staffing agency. I'm still eligible for the contract with a company that is non-staffing agency. Yeah, you can work. We can work through a staffing agency as long as that staffing agency is okay to pay us your salary. It should be fine, and increase your salary by 15%. Any extra costs for PNP? Yeah, there are. I don't know what they are, but you can Google BC PNP costs and find out what they are. So yeah, there are some costs. Every visa you apply to, there's a cost. So I'm not sure how much it is. It's probably a few $100s, but yeah. From VanHack, no, like VanHack will just provide you the work letters and proof that you're working. We're not actually going to apply for the PNP for you. If you want to hire an immigration consultant, there's costs for the immigration consultant, but VanHack will not actually like represent you in the process. So we will support you in terms of giving you, all the documents and proof that you are working for a BC company, which VanHack is, but we will not actually do the paperwork for you. If that's a separate process with another immigration consultant, you can hire Giovanni or another immigration consultant for that. Cool. Yeah, my pleasure. Stanley, what if my employer doesn't accept me to work for 2 employers at the same time? Well, I mean, you're going to be working for them through VanHack. So, yeah, I think dependents are up till 22, Abimael. So yeah, he will enter as a dependent, I believe. It's up to 22. All right, team. I think we're good here. A lot of questions, a lot of answers. Hopefully this was insightful and helpful for you. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to send me an email. Again, my email is just ilya@vanhack.com. If you're in the VanHack Slack, I also respond really quickly on DM in Slack. So if you haven't joined, just go to the VanHack website, log in the top menu. There's a little Slack icon. You can sign up there, send me a DM. Pretty active there. There's also a link right there that can be looked at. Thank you. And then yeah, if you have any questions, if you think you're eligible but you're not sure, just sign up. Again, it's free to sign up to the website. Our team will get in touch with you right away to book a call if you meet the criteria. And yeah, hopefully this was helpful and we can help you come to Canada in the next few months. So thanks everyone. Have a great afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are. And we'll see you in the next webinar. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.